Mates in Construction about 3 years ago started a Mates in Construction Kokoda Challenge. Now, I've got to tell you, I was a skeptic. I thought, who on earth would walk Kokoda and raise money for Mates in Construction? So I was a reluctant starter. But thank God for someone like Brett Shimming from CSQ actually said, this can work. And thanks to that, more than $500,000 has been raised for Mates in Construction through the Kokoda Challenge. And the Kokoda Challenge is up again this year. And I just wanted to talk to a couple of people who have done the Kokoda Trek, Amanda Arrowsmith and Mary Smith, if you want to come forward, and we'll just have a brief chat. You will have in your packs some information on Kokoda. Seats are warm. So Amanda, if I can start with you. You were on the very first Kokoda Challenge.
Yes.
So what was going through your mind? I mean, why did you do it? And in the lead up to it, what were you thinking?
I think probably like most Australians, it was something that was on my bucket list, and it was something that I'd always wanted to do. And the opportunity came up for the first Kokoda with Mates, and I very luckily had an amazing employer who said, will you go and represent the company? And so I think without thinking about it, I said yes. I think that's important. You can overthink these things. I could have convinced myself very quickly not to. But I said yes. And the reason I said yes was because Mates in Construction was tied to it. So I could trek Kokoda for myself and get amazing experience out of it, but that little tie to Mates in Construction, having that extra purpose to keep me motivated in training and keep me motivated on track, was really, I think, the clincher for me. And a lot of the stuff that was going through my head before going there was obviously the physical side of things. Am I going to be able to get through it? Having sort of a lot of unknowns there, but having gone with Aurora, the lead up, the training, the camaraderie that you build with the people that you're going with really just makes it all very possible. And
so what happened to you? Like you did it and you got back. What changed for you?
It's just that amazing self-belief of saying I've set a goal which I achieved, which was actually quite a challenging goal for me. And so it just made a lot of other things very possible. So belief in myself and stepping out of my comfort zone, but also the connection that I had with my fellow trekkers. And I mean, there's some guys in this room who came the first year that I'm still absolutely amazing mates with. And you just can't manufacture that in 7 days the way that you can on Kokoda.
So that explains why you went the first time. You were the only person who has done all the Mates in Construction Kokoda challenges, so how come you went 2 more times?
I think having known what I experienced the very first time, and being involved with Mates and being very passionate about what Mates do, I started helping out on the second trek, just talking to people about what they could experience on the track and all those sorts of things. And then the opportunity sort of arose that, you know, if I could help encourage a few more people on, then you know, I could go again. And having talked to people about why they should do it and signing them up, I then thought, I can't let them go without me. Like, I've got to be there for them. I want to see the transformation that I know is going to happen for them from day one when they were scared and signed up, all through training and the anticipation building up. I want to see them cross under the arches at Owers Corner and see that absolute elation of what they set out to achieve that they achieved.
So it's about $5,500 to do the trek. Did you pay for that yourself?
No, I was very lucky both years that my employer paid, the first 2 years, and the third year I actually went over and started working for Aurora, so I went as staff. And that was absolutely amazing because it's not necessarily something that everyone can afford. And my workplace just got behind me by sponsoring me, and the premise of that was that we would share the name of the company, we'd share our experiences back with the rest of the staff, and it was just sensational the way that my workplace were putting on fundraising things for me. We were having regular lunches. Everyone was asking me and keeping me accountable for my training. And then when I got back, they just wanted to hear all about it, and they sort of followed on Facebook and all that sort of stuff. So it created this really beautiful community within my workplace.
So the workplace got right behind you?
Absolutely.
So Mary, you're familiar with the track?
Yes.
How many times have you done the trek?
I think it'll be about 48 this year. Yeah.
As you can see, Mary is 6'6", warrior athlete. So having done the trek so often with people and led it, what do you notice about people who do the trek before and after?
Well, I guess I'm pretty lucky that I get to spend a lot of time with people from the get-go, from when they sign on, when they're a little bit nervous about the whole concept, and they go through the training and they're getting a little bit more confident on the way, and they get to Papua New Guinea and no one's really talking about the elephant in the room, but everyone's very nervous. And they get out on track and they realise that everyone's in the same boat, and they're there with a group of, let's say, 20 people in their group, where everyone is in the same situation, but it's a group of people generally that have never met prior to some of the training, or even sometimes before they step on track. And they have that time to connect. And what the guys were talking about before is it's a 7.5 day walk with some cheeky hills where people can have a chat. And they do. They have their quiet times, they have their hysterical laughter times, and they're climbing up massive hills, but they have really quite deep conversations during that 7.5 days that they probably would never have in everyday life back at home with people that they've just met. And that the power of that story, and everyone has a story, they tell their stories to each other, they hear the stories of the diggers that were on the ground at the time, and they stand in history. That melds with their story and the story that Mates is portraying for that mateship element, and that all melds together for them to walk away transformed basically when they come back. And we've taken, I think, we worked out last night, 101 people over the last 3 years that have raised $500,000, and the fundraising is amazing because it's changing lives on the ground. But in addition, those 101 people are going home and having a conversation. They're talking to their friends, their families, their workplaces. They're looking for people that need a hand, so that people don't have to ask for a hand. They're offering the help that people can then accept. And I think that's 101 people that will have a ripple effect that will change the lives of hundreds of people that they know, the next person knows. So it's the transformation of them as that lone nut to a group of followers. So they start with a mission, but they end up part of a movement, and they come back basically walking and talking the Mates message. And I think that's the most powerful thing for me to see, is them change personally in themselves, but also to then go out into the world and change their world at the same time, which is the power of storytelling and experience.
Thanks, Mary. So how many people here would like to trek Kokoda, would have it on their bucket list? Just put your hand up. Well, that should be a team. So if there's people in this room now, or people who are watching this on live streaming, and they would like to do Kokoda this year, what do they need to do?
Well, we've got all the brochures out at our booth, and I think in your little sample bag you've got a little one-pager there that sends you to the Mates in Construction website under events, where you can fill out just an expression of interest, so you don't have to sign on the dotted line for book or anything. Just sign on and we'll have a chat with you guys. We had 50 people go last year, I think. We're hoping to better that this year. Every year has got bigger and better, and so get involved and have a chat. There's people here today that have gone, so if you're keen, look for some people. There's some guys in some red polos from previous years too that'll tell you about their experience. But get on board. I think you'll appreciate it more than you can explain now at the end, and you'll come back a different person.
It's also a really special year to be going as well. It's the 75th anniversary of the Kokoda campaign, and when you're over there, it's really hard to describe the sort of spiritual experience that you have when you're on the ground that heroes sort of fought for our sort of freedom. And so the 75th is going to be extra special in those places.
So thank you, ladies. Give them a hand.